Good morning. I'm here at Akashic Ranch, overlooking the beautiful valley. Um, uh, Good morning, interior wellness friends. I'm Martin Comtois. I'm an astrologer, and in 2 weeks, August 20th and 21st, I'm presenting a workshop here at Akashic Ranch called The Healer and the Dreamer. It's a journey of self discovery. It's based on the teachings of Carl Jung, astrology, alchemy, and the quest for the self. It is an action packed weekend, interactive workshop. It's a culmination of 30 years of studies for me, and I really look forward to a wonderful group of folks to share with and in this idyllic setting. Astrology is an ancient art that was developed as the human intellect and the human psyche developed. Astrology developed along with it, and it is based on the simple axiom that so above, so below. That everything that happens in the macrocosm is mirrored in the microcosm. So we're all mini little universes, and the larger universe mirrors our own process, and we mirror the process of the macrocosm as well. So in that way, we are one, and astrology really gets us into how that magical DNA of us and the universe and how we are to co create together. So it is a very powerful and ancient system that has adapted through the years. The archetypes have morphed with the times, and it really reflects what is going on the outer world and in the inner world. And so it's a magical tool to get to understand yourself and the world that you live in. Mm, I started astrology when I was 28, coming out of the Hare Krishna temple, and my life up to that point had been so complex already that I needed some clarity, and so I studied astrology. And for the first 15 years of my astrology studies, I just did astrology for myself and to guide my practice. And then when I was at the Ashcroft Opera House in BC, when I moved here, I started more seriously. And then when the Opera House went bankrupt, I I said to myself, all right, this is the time. And so now I've been practicing for 7 years, 8 years, and it's been a really wonderful journey. And I started as an astrologer and really stuck to the tradition of astrology. But in the last 5 or 6 years, I became really passionate about the psychology of Carl Gustav Jung, and the process of individuation, and what he calls analytical psychology, dream analysis, and his work, his studies in alchemy. So I've been integrating alchemy and psychology and dream analysis in my work, and developed this concept of the healer and the dreamer. The Astromandala table, I use mostly to showcase astrology and how it works. So for my workshops, I use the table, and for group readings, I use the table. It's huge for group development, teamwork. It really brings out a lot of stuff, but it doesn't really get into the depth of what a chart will give you. So when I do natal chart readings and transit readings, I use directly off the chart, work right off the chart. That is the astrological chart, and then we analyze the work together. A reading is a very deeply transformative process. It usually someone comes for a reading when they're in a crisis, when they're having a breakdown, As I say, breakdowns lead to breakthroughs, and so astrology will facilitate amazing breakthroughs in your understanding of your inner process. So I look at astrology as a practice, and a practice that is supposed that supports your creative and spiritual practice. And so the reading really gives you insight into where you're at on the path and what you need to be doing and what you need to be integrating, and helps you heal from the inside out. Well, the workshop is a four module, so 2.5 hours each or so. So it's very a lot of information. We start on the first module with discussing psychology, alchemy, astrology, and the work of Carl Jung. We deal with tools to integrate the process of individuation, which is basically from the Eastern perspective, we call it self-realization, God realization, however you want to put it. Understanding yourself and your relationship with the divine. So that's our first module. Then the middle two module will do the astrological mandala, the zodiac. We study the zodiac and the sacred geometry that informs the movement of all of the planets and the universe, and that's very exciting. Gives us an understanding of the stage, and then we introduce the actors. And this is really exciting because not only are we going to do theoretical, understanding of the planets, but also each of the members of the workshop will have their own sets of planets. As we progress, everybody will get to put their planets where they belong, and then we'll discuss. And so it is one part of it is theoretical, but then also we really dive into each of the individuals and discuss the infinite possibilities, and so it's very educating. And then in the third work module, we'll be discussing um, techniques of interpretation. How do you interpret a chart? How do you look at a chart? The workshop itself is mostly designed for healers, and so it is meant to support your practice, your healing practice, your spiritual practice, your creative practice, so that you can learn and have the basics of how to look at a chart, so that you can look at a chart of one of your clients if you're troubled or having difficulty finding a way to reach catharsis. Then you can refer to the chart and to your own chart, and it is also used in an alchemical way. Alchemy is a process of transformation. The proverb or the analogy of turning lead into gold is really turning matter into spirit. So we are spirit living a material experience, and so how to balance the both of them, that's called really the alchemical sacred marriage. And so then we look at astrology in that way, and we look at understanding the chart, and not only our natal chart but the present charts, to see how we're looking for the kairos. This is pretty technical, but the kairos is, and I don't want to give you the full workshop right now anyway, but a kairos is a feature of time called magical time, and there are magical moments spread out through our path. And so we learn to identify these sacred moments through the planetary, and then we can base our practice upon that. And so that's how the alchemist used astrology in his experiment. And this is what Jung taught us, is how to use our connection with the archetypes to really find the best time for empowerment and creativity. And then the fourth module, if that wasn't enough, the fourth module really deals with the times that we're living with and understanding the spirit of the times. So we're going to look at the Uranus-Pluto square, the Uranus-Pluto conjunction. Those are technical terms, but basically we're going to look at the 60s, and we're going to look at the times that we're living through. We're going to look at the Saturn Neptune square, which we're all living through right now, and then we're going to look in the future towards 2020. I call that part 2020 vision, and the Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto conjunction at the end of Capricorn, which is also square Uranus and semi-sextile Neptune. So that's in 2020, and that's going to be a major kairos, a major time of crystallization. And so we're going to talk about techniques to get yourself ready for that and to move towards clarity in your spiritual, creative, and healing path. You're very welcome.
Appreciate you.
Oh, well, I'm so, uh, life is such a journey, and well, I mean, Jung talks about the journey to hell, and making the journey to hell, and it's been such a intense journey for me the last few years, and to have the support of mystics like yourself and the Kamloops community is huge for me, and I'm looking forward to being of service. Is what's become clear is that life is short and you have to be of service, and so I'm going to try to really hold space and be present for others to help them and to articulate the result of my studies. I told you that dream about Jung, right? And so really it is our job to to bring bring our own conclusions to the world of spirit. And so flirting with death is what I called it. Flirting with death really made a real important connection for me to realize that time is short and I have a gift to share and do it.
Yeah.
Don't hold back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.